Hi there, welcome to the last part of my mental health journey so far. You might hear a bit of weather. We're having a bit of a rainstorm at the moment, so I apologise for that. Right, where were we? Right, I'm getting help. I've asked for help and I'm getting help. The therapist I had was brilliant, apart from his Liverpool accent that really grated on me. No offence to Scousers at all, but it's just the way he said certain words, and the majority of it was me fighting the help that I was getting, you know. But over time, with him and the other two therapists, I got to get a better understanding of what was going on. You know, I realised that it is an illness, what I was going through. It didn't define who I was. I was still me. It was just a situation that I was experiencing, and that part is important to note. After I had my treatment, I wanted to help other people. You get like a Superman complex. It's like you get like a revelation, like, why don't more people know about this sort of thing, and you know, you can help somebody with this. But I had a major problem. I found myself unable to communicate with people, which again is an alien concept for me, because as a manager I used to go to area meetings and you'd have to stand up with 30 other managers watching you and do presentations in front of the area manager and sometimes the regional director, and I had no problem with that. So I knew I could do it, but I couldn't get started. I didn't know what to do, so I opened a Twitter account, the name of which is Hold My Hand, It's Okay. Now the idea of it was that I wanted to help people, so in theory I wanted people to reach out to me, and metaphorically I would hold their hand and see them through their journey, because I believe we're all on journeys, and on every journey there are bumps in the road and there are left turns and right turns, and sometimes you get lost on your journey. It's a journey that has no destination, no end point, but there's always a start point, and you have to take that first step on your journey. And I got to get connected with a couple of people who were in the same situation and who inspired me. One of which was a guy called Robbie from Wales, and he is an eccentric bloke. He's been through the worst things you could imagine, things that you think, Christ, how on earth do you cope? And he saw inspiration in me, and he said that I was his reason for carrying on, which is incredibly humbling when you look at his story. And when I got to know him very well, and I went to visit him in Wales, and that led to disaster, because I had a Addisonian crisis on the way driving home, and that's when I discovered that, or it was discovered that I had diabetes, and my blood sugar my HbA1c was like 130, and the chart stops at 80, but I couldn't. Oh, it was dreadful. But anyway, I've met Robbie, and we got on great. His sense of humour is fantastic. He's been up to see me when I was in hospital with the effects of Addison's and hypoglycemia and things like that. I messaged him to say what was going on, and ironically he was in hospital at the same time. He had one of his conditions was Todd palsy, but he had other issues as well. But he got blood poisoning, and he only had 25% chance to survive, but he pulled through. But he taught me that comedy and taking the mickey out of yourself and each other is the best medicine. And we were constantly messaging each other while we're in hospital to see who was illest. And like, I've had 4 injections today and 5 bags of saline. He said, well, I've had 6. And it was, you know, fantastic. We showed pictures of our wounds, of how many times we got punctured with trying to get veins for this, that and the other. And You know, he's a fantastic bloke, a really tremendous inspiration, and I love him to bits. And there's a story about tattoos, but I'm going to do a separate video on tattoos because I like tattoos and I've got plenty of them, and some have stories and some haven't. But yeah, I learnt that I had the ability to help people and I wanted to take it further. But I'm a technophobe. I'm rubbish with anything to do with technology. It breaks, or I can't work it, or I don't understand it. But through this Twitter account, I had the anonymity behind the name. Nobody knew who I was, so I felt like I had my confidence could grow organically, if you like. And then I had the idea of trying to do a website, and I found this basic platform where I could run a website, and I called it holdmyhanditsokay.com. And it was basically, I would put up posts about Tess and about myself and what I'd experienced and my mental health issues and what I hoped to accomplish and things. And my main aim was to help one person. That was it, one person. And within a fortnight, I got a message from a lovely young lady, and it really emotionally got to me. I must have wept for about 2 days afterwards. But she basically thanked me. She'd found the website somehow. I mean, I was promoting it on Twitter, but you know, Twitter is vast, so I've only got such an area that, you know, you could be discovered. But by chance she'd came across the website, and on it I'd put links to where you can get help and what have you, because I found it very difficult to find any answers or get help from certain areas because it's so underfunded. There's no spaces, and you know, I find it very frustrating when I actually had the courage to ask for help. It was really hard to get hold of help, and I wanted to make it a bit easier for other people, you know, because asking for help is extremely difficult, extremely hard, takes a lot of courage, and when you keep hitting brick walls, it'd be very easy to think, you know what, I'm not going to bother. And that is the worst case scenario, because then, you know, if the darkness comes for you, then you're going to succumb to it. But she sent me a message to say she'd found the site, she'd read through it, and basically she'd made plans to leave the planet, and she was going to do it on New Year's Eve. And she'd found my website and reached out for help and got some help, and the message that she sent came through in February, so she'd gone past her ready-made plans. And that for me blew my mind, you know, thinking that's brilliant, I've helped the one person I wanted to help, I want to keep going, you know, I want to help other people. And I ran the site for it was well over a year, but it was a strange website. I mean, I did struggle a bit justifying the expense of running it, but I felt that it was important and I needed to do it for myself to get a sense of self-worth, I suppose. But it was a strange website. The company that ran it were a Swedish firm, and I didn't know at the time, but there was a clause in the contract of having the site that if you didn't maintain it or you didn't put anything new on there for a 3-month period, I think it was 3 months or 12 weeks, they basically would pull down the site and delete it without notice, without warning, and it was irretrievable. Unfortunately, I had a period where I was unwell, both mentally and physically, and I just didn't have the strength to go in and do posts and, you know, do the housekeeping that you did. But when I found out that it had gone, I was devastated. You know, it was such a waste, and the thought of setting up another one and doing it all again proved too much. you know, and I kind of lost my way a bit there. But what I found with my Twitter account, and I hate to use this word, but it fits. I became a bit of a life coach for people all over the world. All over the world, there were people. There was a lovely lady in Australia. She lives out in the sticks, in the suburbs, and bless her heart, she went to the library and requested they got a copy of my book. Now, my book, as I've said before, is The Curse of Invisible Diseases, and the library, God bless them, because my book is what's called I forget what it's called now, but it's not on the shelf in a store. It's on Amazon. A print to order it's called. But the library didn't order a copy. They ordered 2. So in this library, in the backwaters of an American town, there are 2 copies of my book in a library, which I think is amazing. But I life coached this particular lady for well over a year, you know, and she found it amazing how I understood and knew her thought processes. And she said, how do you know? How do you know this? I said, because I've done it. I've been doing it. It's not, these aren't specific to you. This is the illness and this is what it does. And that's the thing I want to get across more than anything else. That's what resonated with me, that it is an illness. It's not who you are. It's not specific to who you are. You know, it happens to, you could be a millionaire celebrity like Robin Williams, for example. It just gets you. And once it gets you, it's got you. And you do need help to get it sorted out. And sometimes that requires medication. Sometimes that requires therapy. I can't recommend therapy enough. I was staunchly adverse to therapy after having my first therapist, who was rubbish, but I'd got to such a point where I had to ask for help and try it again, and thankfully I got decent counsellors, as it were. But it is an illness, you know, and I've life coached maybe 50 people now over various times, and I've gone from people who are in denial to living happy and, I hate to use it again, normal lives. I'm still in touch with a lot of them now, still on Twitter. I don't use Twitter so much, or haven't been doing, because social media I'm not a big fan of, but I know it's a necessary evil, but I am getting back into it. As you know, I've got Instagram page at Budget Van Life Adventures, and I've got a Gmail account if people want to get hold of me or ask me any questions on any medical aspects, mental or physical. It's budgetvanlifeadventures@gmail.com. I will only ever give advice on things I know about or things I've experienced. If it hasn't happened to me or I don't have it, I won't offer an opinion on it, but I'll try and help you find somebody or somewhere that can help you. The only other golden rule I have is I am never lie. I'll never lie to you. A spade is a spade, I'm afraid, because you have to be honest. And I think for you to be honest, it takes courage and integrity, and to abuse someone's trust in you, I think, is the worst thing you could do, and I would never do it. Unfortunately, that means sometimes I might tell you things that you don't want to hear, especially in the beginning of your journey. There's going to be lots of things that you don't want to hear, because I didn't want to hear them. I didn't want to hear the word accept. It's okay now, I don't mind it now, but even after 10 years or so, I can still hear my second therapist's Scouse accent saying that word, and it used to try. And I joked with him. I said, that word, don't say it. Change it to something else, please. But it's the word that you need to do. you need to accept the accept, because only then can you start on your journey. Only then can you begin to take control back, or take back control of your life. Okay, I've taken up far too much of your time. I will answer any comments that you leave, and feel free to contact me on Instagram or on email. Everything is confidential on email. Any DMs are confidential on Twitter. Again, it's hold my hand, it's okay. And Instagram is at Budget Van Life Adventures. All DMs confidential. I don't discuss anybody's cases with anybody else. The people I've mentioned in these vlogs are aware, and they're more than happy to be named, like Rob. You know, I haven't given out his Twitter handle, and I won't do that, but he is on the back page of this book. There's a list of people who I've made contact with through Twitter, who we became a support network for each other, and they very kindly agreed to continue the work for anybody who reads the book. They can contact them for advice or whatever. Just to reiterate, I don't make any money from the book. All the royalties I donate to SANE, the mental health charity. So it's not for personal gain. The actual book itself contains my whole life story up to about, I can't remember, 5 years ago maybe. And it is frank, and it is to the point, but I do write with a dark comedic undertone, because that's the way I write. It's got some good reviews on Amazon actually. I think you can still read the first chapter for free, and it's very reasonable to buy it as an ebook. Unfortunately, I had no control over the price, and the publishers put a stupid price on the actual hard copy of the book. It's a paperback book, but it's a ridiculous price. But unfortunately, I got no control over that. But the ebook is very reasonable, and I would appreciate any support that you give it, or promote it to somebody you think might benefit from it. Most people who have read the book, the feedback has been they can't put it down, and I don't want to sound like I'm bragging and boasting, but it is a gripping tale of tears and fears and a little bit of unpleasantness, lots of comedy, and hopefully some support for people who need it. Don't forget, hold your hand out, ask for help, or hold your hand out and offer help. Be nice to everybody and be kind to yourself. Cheers. Keep subscribing, please. Thanks very much.